There are moments in life when we stand at a crossroads, our minds flooded with questions that have no clear answers. Why do I feel so empty? Why does everything suddenly feel meaningless? And how can I find peace in my mind again? Lynn, a young woman who had just graduated, once found herself in that very state, caught in a noisy world full of expectations, pressure, and nameless questions. All she wanted was to find a place of true silence. But silence isn't found in some faraway land. It's found in the last place she ever expected, within herself. This is the story of a journey that didn't begin with anyone else. It began with one simple question. How can I find peace in my mind? Lynn sat alone in her favorite coffee shop, the soft light of the late afternoon sun gently brushing her hair. But inside her, everything felt cloudy and unclear. The coffee in front of her had long gone cold, yet her thoughts were still burning hot, racing endlessly. It had been 3 months since she graduated from college. Lynn had expected to feel relieved, free, maybe even happy. But no, all she felt was lost. Each morning, she woke up without a clue of what she was supposed to do. Her friends were either working at big companies, studying abroad, or busy planning weddings. And Lynn? She felt like a bystander in her own life. Her mother reassured her, "Take your time, you'll figure out your path." Her father suggested, "Why don't you try the civil service exam? It's stable." But their words only left her more confused. She didn't know what she truly wanted. She didn't know where to begin. And more than anything, she could no longer hear the voice of her own heart. Deep down, Lynn longed for just one thing: peace. Peace in her mind, peace in her emotions, peace in every breath she took. But the more she tried to chase that peace, the more her thoughts turned into a maze. One thought led to another, then another, none of them bringing her any closer to an answer. Then one night, after hours of tossing and turning, unable to sleep, Lynn suddenly sat up in bed. She thought of someone, her 12th grade literature teacher. He was the one who taught her how to fall in love with haunting passages, to feel the vastness hidden in a single line of poetry. And Lynn believed, if anyone could help her find peace in her mind, it had to be him. The very next morning, without hesitation, she took a bus to the small town where her teacher now lived. And on that bus ride, Lynn quietly repeated the question in her head like a silent prayer. How can I find peace in my mind? She didn't know yet. This trip wouldn't give her the answer she was hoping for, but it would begin something far more powerful. A journey back to herself. Mr. Tam's small house sat tucked away at the end of a quiet alley, where the trees still whispered whenever the wind passed through. As Lynn stood before the rusted iron gate, her heart beat faster, part nervous, part hopeful. She felt like a lost child who had finally found someone who might show her the way. Mr. Tam stepped out from the back of the house. The same slender figure, the same kind eyes, and that warm, familiar voice Lynn had always remembered. "Lynn, is it you? It's been a long time. Come on in," he said with a smile, then poured her a cup of hot tea. After a few moments of catching up, Lynn hesitated before finally asking the question that had been weighing on her for months. "Hey, how can I find peace in my mind?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked out toward the garden, where a few orchid pots swayed gently in the breeze. Then, he sighed, his voice softening. "Lynn, right now, I'm taking care of my mother. She's very weak and no longer clear-minded. My own thoughts are a mess, too. Maybe try asking your closest friend instead. Sometimes, someone your age might understand your feelings better than I can." Lynn nodded, doing her best to hide her disappointment. She understood. Everyone has their own burdens. But still, she couldn't help the sinking feeling in her chest. She had hoped for something deeper from him, a bit of wisdom, a guiding thought, a spark of clarity. And yet, the very man who once helped her understand pain through literature now couldn't help her make sense of the pain inside her own mind. That afternoon, Lynn left his home in silence. She didn't blame him. In fact, her heart felt heavier, because for the first time, she realized, not everyone is ready to truly listen. Not everyone has the peace within themselves to share it with others. On the bus ride back, Lynn pulled out her phone and sent a message to Lon, her best friend since middle school. "Hey Lon, when are you free? I want to talk. Just about something that's hard to put into words." She hadn't given up. She still believed. If not her teacher, then surely her closest friend would understand. Surely, Lon would help untangle the thoughts that had her mind in knots. But what Lynn didn't know was this. Each person she turned to would teach her the same lesson. No one else can give her the answer. The next afternoon, Lynn met Lon at a small cafe tucked away in a corner of the city, the same place where they used to hang out during their high school years. The shop hadn't changed much. The familiar scent of coffee in the air, the noisy traffic buzzing outside, and soft music playing from the same old speaker hanging from the ceiling. But Lon was different. She walked in looking worn out, dark circles under her eyes, and a heavy, exhausted expression. The moment she sat down, she let out a long sigh. "God, I feel like a machine these days. Working day and night, deadlines piling up. I don't even know what day it is anymore." Lynn looked at her, hesitating. She didn't want to burden her friend further. But still, she gathered the courage to speak. "Lon, I've been feeling so lost lately. I don't know what I want anymore. I can't find any peace. Every morning I wake up, my head just feels like it's drowning in noise. You once told me you felt like that too. Have you found a way through it?" Lon stayed quiet for a moment. She didn't answer right away. She just swirled her glass of orange juice slowly, eyes tired and distant as she stared out the window. Then finally, her voice came, soft, like a confession. "To be honest, I'm still struggling, Lynn. Some days I feel okay. Some days I just want to disappear. And today my head is pounding like crazy. I'm not in the right state to help anyone right now. Maybe you could talk to your older sister? I remember she's been through things way harder than what we're dealing with." Lynn felt her heart sink a little. She didn't blame Lon. Not at all. She understood. Sometimes people are just too tired from carrying their own weight to carry someone else's too. She looked at her friend, the same Lon who once laughed so easily, who once dreamed so boldly. Now just another young woman swept away by work, pressure, and the constant motion of life. "Yeah, I get it," Lynn said with a gentle smile, trying to hide the quiet ache inside. She gave Lan's hand a small squeeze, a gesture of thanks, and perhaps a silent goodbye to a hope that had just fallen apart. That night, Lynn sat alone on the balcony of her small rented room. The city hummed below, loud and restless as always. But within her, there was a stillness. Two people, two places she had poured her hope into, both couldn't give her the answer. And then a quiet voice rose within her. "Maybe I've been looking in the wrong direction. Maybe the answer isn't out there in anyone else." The next morning, Lynn woke up early. She didn't check her phone, didn't open social media, didn't reply to a single message. She quietly made herself a cup of tea, then sat by the window, watching the first rays of sunlight slip through the curtains. A strange feeling crept in, as if after so many restless days, her mind was finally trying to settle. And then she thought about Mr. Tam again. Something inside her urged her to go back, not to demand an answer, but to understand why during their last meeting he had said nothing. That question no longer filled her with disappointment. Instead, it became a quiet mystery she wanted to explore on her own. Lynn caught the bus back to the small town. This time, Mr. Tam was sitting on the porch, gently tending to his orchids. When he saw Lynn, he wasn't surprised. He simply smiled, softly, as if he had known she would come back. "Teacher, I'm sorry to bother you," Lynn said, her voice as light as the breeze. "But I need to understand, why didn't you answer me last time?" Mr. Tam didn't speak right away. He simply pointed to the seat across from him, inviting her to sit. After a moment, he finally spoke, his voice low and slow. "Lynn, there are some questions that if I answer them too soon, you would never truly understand them. I didn't stay silent because I didn't know the answer. I stayed silent because I did. And I knew you were the one who needed to find it." Lynn froze. It felt like someone had just gently knocked on a long-closed door inside her mind. "And did you notice?" he continued. "When you asked me, I told you to speak to your friend. When you asked your friend, she pointed you to someone else. They all turned you away. not because they didn't care, but because they too were struggling with their own minds. Everyone has their own path, and no one can walk it for someone else. She went quiet. A strange warmth rose in her chest. Not because she finally got an answer, but because she realized the silence of her teacher and of her friends had been the greatest lesson of all. "I know you felt disappointed," Mr. Tam said gently. "But sometimes disappointment is the quickest way to force us to look inward. Peace doesn't lie in someone else's answers. It lies in how we learn from silence, from failure, and from those moments when no one can save us but ourselves." Lynn bowed her head. Tears fell, not from sadness, but because for the first time, she finally saw the path she'd been searching for. A path that didn't lead to anyone else, but led her back to herself. That day, Lynn left Mr. Tam's house just as the afternoon sun poured over the narrow alleyway. The sky was a deep blue, close enough to touch, and a gentle breeze passed through, carrying the scent of leaves and old wood. She walked for a long while, slowly, quietly, but no longer with the confusion she once carried. Something inside her had shifted. Not loud, not radiant, just a soft haze of realization slowly lifting, revealing the gentle light of understanding. Lynn no longer waited for someone else. She no longer rushed to find an answer from the outside. She understood now that everything she had done, running to her teacher, pleading with her best friend, hoping for help from anyone, had all just been ways to avoid facing herself. The peace she had longed for, it wasn't in anyone's advice. It was an acceptance. In the moments she sat alone, listening to her own heart. It was in pausing, breathing deeply, and asking herself, honestly, what am I hurting for? What do I really want? What is enough and what is too much? That night, for the first time in months, Lynn turned the lights off early. She didn't search for a healing video, didn't play a psychology podcast, didn't try to comfort herself with online affirmations. She simply closed her eyes and let her mind drift wherever it wanted to go. No forcing, no resistance. And in that stillness, she felt something she hadn't touched in a long, long time. Peace. Not because everything was suddenly okay, but because she no longer wanted to fight herself. And if you're feeling lost the way Lynn once was, remember this. No one can walk you through the storm inside your mind. A teacher may hand you a lantern, but you must be the one to light the path. Your loved ones may care deeply, but they cannot understand the deepest parts of your pain. A friend can walk beside you, but they cannot live your life for you. And that is why it's just you, just your honesty with yourself, just your courage to sit, to be still, and to listen to that quiet voice within. Everything you've been searching for out there has always been here, inside you. Life is full of moments that leave us feeling lost. When a mind grows noisy and the heart grows tired, we often rush to seek answers from others, from teachers, from friends, from those we believe to be wiser, stronger. But in the end, like Lynn, we come to realize, no one can truly rescue us but ourselves. Only when you slow down enough to truly listen can you begin to hear the voice calling you from within. Only when you stop hoping for answers from the outside do you start to see that every truth, every answer you've been searching for has been quietly waiting in your own heart all along. And maybe what you need is not someone to lead you out, but the courage to stay right here with yourself. Peace doesn't come from a perfect world out there. It comes from acceptance within. Acceptance of your contradictions, your flaws, your inner battles, as parts of a greater journey you're meant to walk. And if today you still find yourself feeling lost, remember this. Silence is a teacher. Solitude is a lesson. And you are the only one truly capable of understanding yourself. Trust in that, because when you're quiet enough, you will hear it. And when you hear it, you'll begin to return. Return to stillness. Return to peace. And return to your truest self.